meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki.
They'd like to confess
that AM 1400 KVFD.
Okay, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We're here with Senator Tim Kreinbrink and Ann Meyer. Despite scheduling problems, I'm going to have to talk to my producer. That's all there is to it.
You mean about your
correct producer?
I'm going to have to slap myself around.
about your cognitive ability?
Cognitive abilities. Hey, take
I think there's a test you can take. Maybe you and our current president can take that test together.
I worry about that sometimes. I do.
Yesterday, I heard he's a truck driver.
Yes, I was a truck driver.
No.
Oh, Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Man.
Yeah. Come on.
But now he said he
Poor
rode.
old Joe Biden. My grandfather was a coal miner.
He said he rode in a truck.
He rode in a truck.
And that made him a truck driver.
As somebody who drove truck, there's a big difference. I did it for a living, Joe. We're broadcasting live from the Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters studio. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street, Fort Dodge. You can contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6041. Representative Ann Meyer is here, as well as Senator Kreinbrink. If you have a question or comment from either of our representatives, it's 955-1400. 955-1400. Okay, Tim, you're going to run for re-election, right?
I may.
I thought you were. You're such a tease. Now you're not.
I'll tell you first.
All right. You're going to tell me first?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Come on, man.
You'll be the first to know, Mike.
All right.
Just because I like you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Ann, you're going to run for re-election.
Yes.
Yeah. You're running now. Are you running?
We'll be on the, if I run, we'll be running together.
Yeah, we are on the same, we're every 2 years. So yeah.
Yeah,
it's constant.
Constant. Yeah, sure. Constant campaigning, but
yep.
The mayor has finally announced that he will.
Yep.
And that's big for our town.
Yep.
That's big for our town. Is there anything going on this summer down at the State House? It seems like the session is always in session anymore. Governor Reynolds, I just had a very spirited debate with Mike Owen of Common Good Iowa. Mike's a liberal, but I don't care if a person's a liberal. I'm a conservative and an individualist. You can be whatever you want. It's okay with me. But Mike really believes that Governor Reynolds is a bad person for not enacting a mask mandate now and demanding that everybody be vaccinated. And I've always argued with Mike. I say, you guys on the left, you always want to talk about our responsibilities to the greater society. You never want to talk about individual freedom. Do we have that or not?
Well, we're talking about an issue in the House. Yesterday, we had a meeting with the Mercy One system because they have instituted a vaccine mandate for all of their employees.
That's their business.
It is their business. These are healthcare workers. I have no problems with generally healthcare workers having vaccines. The difference with this one is it's emergency use only right now.
Okay.
And I have an issue.
Let's go to the phones. AM 1400 KVFT. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Mike, there's one thing you got to remember, whoever two you talk to.
What's that?
Republicans think Democrats are people with bad ideas.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Democrats think Republicans are bad people.
Yes, they do. Yes, I've heard that before.
That's all you got to remember.
I got it, man. Thank you. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dutch. There's a little boost for you guys. But, and I apologize for interrupting you, but I didn't. I wanted to go to. I do not understand why Governor Reynolds is under this sort of pressure. I mean, as the governor of the state, she must be alert to a public health problem of this magnitude. The issue is, how do we control it? How do we respect individual rights? And I told Mike, if you give individual business owners the choice, they'll want their people to be vaccinated, and they might not want to have non-vaccinated people come into their business. I said, no, they won't, Mike. Every single business will. You don't sit at the door and say, let me see your vaccination card, or you can't shop in my business. You can't do business with me. Tim, do you have an opinion on the masking thing and Governor Reynolds?
I think she's done a marvelous job in the last year and a half of balancing, the shutting down of our state and the masking. The data that's being used, I don't even know if there is any data being used. I mean, this second variant that's coming around, I've been listening to a couple things that have been telling us this whole second mask mandate thing's coming from a different country that was tested on a different vaccine that isn't even in the U.S.
Is that
being used
France?
in the U.S. I don't know. You know what? Nobody knows, and that's the problem. If you're just gonna run around and say, okay, we're out of this, you don't have to wear masks anymore if you're vaccinated, and then you get a study from the Medical University of Cincinnati that says if you've had COVID, you're fine, you don't need the vaccine. And see, that's never mentioned, but that's science. And it's like, you know what? Nobody believes anything anybody says anymore.
That's right.
And they say nothing about the deaths that have happened and the disabilities and the miscarriages and the problems that are happening to the people that have gotten vaccinated. I mean, there's data out there that's documented data. As a matter of fact, I've got someone in the Humboldt area that sends me a reminder sheet every week of the new numbers. And so it's not all rosy, and it's not all roses and great situation to be vaccinated. It affects people different ways.
Yes, it does.
And so if that happens and you have no recourse because you have immunity, or you can't have kids anymore because of it, and they'll say, well, there's no proof of that. Well, there's no proof of anything they're saying.
That's right.
So why does anybody believe anything anymore? And I've had COVID. I am not vaccinated. And I feel that I don't need to be because the Cincinnati study that came out, to me, I'll go with that science.
I would, I of course had COVID pretty bad, and I got vaccinated, and I would recommend that people get vaccinated, but I'll be damned if I'm going to tell anybody. If I had the authority to tell anybody, I wouldn't order them to get a vaccine.
Right.
That they
If you have a concern about getting the COVID, then stay home. Stay home.
That's what I suggested to Mike Owen. Mike seems to think that the unvaccinated should stay home, and the real heroes are those who have been vaccinated.
Yeah, but they still have to wear a mask.
Yeah, and they're going to go to their places of work, according to Mike. And I'm not, Mike's a very bright guy and a very compassionate guy, but he's just a liberal. That's all. But he's he really believes that that there's some sort of superiority to some people because they got vaccinated. And that they're wearing masks in their place of work. I don't really see that.
Well, and I think
I understand that. I appreciate. I think they have a right to do that.
I think a lot of people say, "Well, it's just become, let's not make this political." Well, that ship sailed.
Oh, a long time.
And so it's past political. It's to the point now where it should come down to the individual person making the decision that they want to make.
What's your? Do you believe a person should have a choice, Ann, or do you agree with the governor? Or you're a medical person.
I think everyone should have a choice whether they're vaccinated or
Yeah,
not.
would you recommend vaccination?
I absolutely recommend vaccination.
Okay.
Yes. And I think what Tim brought up is when you have COVID, you do have antibodies. So you can actually run a test for antibodies. I mean, every time you donate blood, they check your blood for antibodies because you can donate plasma to treat people with COVID.
Which they're not taking anymore because there aren't enough cases.
Hey, millennial therapy. I have arthritis in both shoulders now. God, I'm getting so old. And I've been taking therapy out at Millennial Therapy out
Go in my office.
Yeah, right out there in your neighborhood, there where your office is. And they want us to wear a mask when we go into the building. I don't have any problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
I bring a mask. I have them at home. If that's the way they want to run their business, and if I want to use their business,
well, you have a choice.
I have
right.
a choice.
You don't have to go there, or you can go there.
That's exactly right. What is wrong with a conversation about what freedom means, for God's sake?
Right.
Individual freedom. What the hell does that mean? By the way, what do you think, Ann? Tim is wearing a Reagan Bush 84 T-shirt. Is it time for him to change T-shirts or not?
Shoot, I don't know. I was just a baby back in '84.
I have to wear it because it's one of my passwords on my computer, and otherwise I forget it if I don't wear it.
Well, really 84 was pretty easy year for the Republicans. I mean, it was Walter Mondale. The Democrats always wanted to complain. Well, we had to change our ways because we lost so big.
I think I was a sophomore, junior in college that year.
I was married with children, you youngsters. Anyway, Senator Kreinberg, Representative Meyer are here. And if you want to ask them a question, it's 955-1400. Are you guys going down to the state fair? I mean, in your capacities as representatives of our government or not?
I am. There's a legislative day.
What day is that?
August 18th, I believe, but let me double check. So yeah, I want to say I always go down there for that, but I've only been eligible to go down 1 year. So the 19th, August 19th is legislative day at the fair. So
You going, big guy?
Yeah, we usually try to make it one day. We try to slip in a concert,
Sure.
when we go down, but I don't know. We haven't really made any definite plans, but our kids like to go, so we might just go with them some evening.
Yeah. Well, I love the state fair. I do.
food's fabulous.
Food's fabulous.
You like pork chops on a stick as well.
Oh,
You like.
well, I brought the last few, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I have been a guest of the Pork Producers,
Oh, nice.
broadcasting live from the Pork Producers tent and eating every conceivable pork concoction in the world down there.
What was that
And-
thing? They had that big, slab of pork belly on a stick
Yeah, that's
last time. That was.
They had some name for it, but it was pretty good.
Yes, it was.
I had bought 3 of them.
That's bacon. That's what bacon's made of.
Well, that's right.
It-
But this had a different taste to it. You're right. It was bacon. I don't know, but it was pretty good. They'll have some special thing
Oh, yeah.
again this year, whatever maybe. Dave,
Maybe.
Dave Mulbauer will be here tomorrow. He's running for the Democratic nomination to run against Chuck Grassley, and we haven't heard from Chuck Grassley yet whether he's going to run for re-election or not. The only reason I'm bringing up Dave Mulbauer's name is I was watching Dave Price at WHO on his Sunday morning show, which Insider Edition is called. And I really like Dave, and I like his show. And Jerry Crawford, a big deal, who's been a big deal in the Democratic Party for a long time. He and the top Republican, and I can't remember who that guy's name is now. But they both agreed it's practically, and this is interesting, it's practically impossible in this day and age for a white male to receive the nomination in Iowa for any level of at the county or state level, or sometimes even city council level. How does that?
First time I've heard that.
No, they both agreed. These are top dogs. Crawford agreed with it. Even and Crawford's been around since I don't know how long, but he's a big money guy in the Democratic Party in Iowa. But do you think that's the case? It seems the case to me, and I don't think.
Well, maybe we'll be a special class someday then.
Well, I
Mike,
think so.
you and I.
You and I. That's right. We can demand old white guy rights.
Yeah, we can get that. We can get that through the legislature.
We are being discriminated against because, well, yes, we're privileged, and I don't know. Tell me about your privilege, Tim, because I know that you had privilege, and I certainly did. Driving truck all over the United States, I felt very privileged in the middle of the night, dead tired.
You did have a job.
I did, yeah, and I drove dead
Fed a
tired.
family.
I drove in Nebraska with in the middle of a snowstorm with ice on my windshield wipers, and I thought, man, am I privileged? I would be privileged if I got to my destination, but I think that says something about the Democratic Party, and I'm going to work on that a little bit. But I think that's a vulnerable area for them to be seen as such a narrow group of thinkers, because the Democratic Party to me now looks like a very narrow group, and their point of view is so angry and restricted and small. Really, and again, I'm talking and you're not, but maybe you're too nice to pick up on this thread. I know, but
Well, you know what? I'm going to say something that's been I've noticed on the news in the past few weeks, and in certain blogs, and I don't like to talk party politics. I really don't. But the Democrats are twisting the narrative on defunding the police,
Yes.
and they're saying that that's a Republican issue right now. I kid you not. I've heard several
believe you.
people. I've seen it on Twitter. I'm just shocked at this. In the Iowa legislature, both Tim and I voted to increase corrections and justice $20 million in the state this
Right.
year, and we both voted for a bill to back the blue, to give them certain protections. And the fact that this narrative is happening right now is just shocking to me.
I want to bring up just as we close here, critical race theory, because I think it's an important topic. I think the left, the far left, not your basic church liberal, but the far left wants to gain control of the educational system. As a matter of fact, I think they've had control over it for 20 years.
I think you're
if even longer. But critical race theory, and I've read a lot about it, and really it does shame white children. That seems to be the basic idea. Ibram Kendi, one of the main authors of critical race theory, has said that words to the effect that when a white person gets up in the morning and takes a breath, they're being oppressive. They've oppressed somebody already. That's what some people want to teach in our schools. Can we get something done to prevent this?
We've already done it
because it's an obvious lie.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Oh, we've passed that critical race theory will not be taught in our public school system here in Iowa. We did that last year.
It is suggested, though, that teachers have a lot of latitude in what you're a former teacher.
I mean, if it happens and we can cut the funding, I guess that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I want it. Because teachers are going to try to, there's going to be a group of teachers, maybe a good majority of teachers, since the teachers union is a pillar of the Democratic
what's going to
Party.
happen is, and I maybe talked about this a little bit when I went on my rampage with our last Eggs and Issues, which was
You went on a rampage?
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Did you?
I
You were
had kind of a
gone.
fun day.
I was gone.
Wasn't. He was in the front row.
He left by then, though. He left early.
Oh, but anyway, I just think that we're going to hear from a lot of parents when this starts coming up, and these parents are going to demand that their kids be taught, but not this. And if they end up sending their kids to other schools or private schools or to basically talking about the voucher system, they're going to demand that the state pays for their child's education.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that.
And so what's going to happen is we're going to have a choice that we're going to either say, you're going to go to the public school, and if they're going to teach this, you can pull your kid and we'll pay for them to go someplace else if that's what's going to happen. And I would fully back that 150%.
I did want to say that if you don't control, if there's not some sort of punishment for the individual teachers, this will be taught in our schools, whether we like it or not.
You know what?
I think we should have narrowed the bill a little bit more to assess a fine specifically to a teacher who is intentionally breaking the law.
That's the school board's problem, the school board and the superintendent. And you know what? We aren't in that situation here. I can look at every one of the school districts that I represent, and I'm happy to say that I have no thought that our school systems here are teaching critical race theory or would like to
That's
teach
in
it.
Webster County. It's not the People's Republic of Johnson County.
Well,
Will
that's I mean,
yeah, you're willing to let them teach their kids what they want?
no, but I'm saying from my standpoint, I just want to let our people know that I'm happy with what's happening here. We have great schools.
I
We
think
have
that's
schools
right.
of choice, and I think people want to come to our schools, no matter if it's Southern Cal or if it's Southeast Webster. Or
I'm with you, and I
you know.
sometimes get in trouble with the teachers, even though I admire and respect them, and I'm on their side. I really think that mass beating should continue until morale improves in schools. But I support our teachers. There's just a few in there who are just total fanatics and will damage their children if they're allowed a choice.
But I think the large majority of our teachers, 99.9% of them have the kids' best interest and the kids' heart at, in the forethought of their mind. So
I admire Tim Kreinbrink. Pick a day in the next couple of weeks when you both can come back, and I'll be here. Set your own time. I apologize. for the screw up. I do. It's 4:00. Thank you very much.
You bet.
This is AM 1400 KBFT.
This is Gary Rima, the voice of the UNI Panthers, and you can listen to exciting Panther sports right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD.
More incentive to get vaccinated. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's part of the strategy just announced by President Biden, who's urging state and local governments to pay people $100 to get a COVID shot using COVID relief money. He's also taking a harder line with the federal workforce, requiring employees and on-site contractors to either be vaccinated or have regular COVID tests, travel restrictions, and a mask. The president says we all benefit if more people are vaccinated.
A lot of fear and misinformation in the country. And we need to cut through it with facts, with science, with the truth.
Some Republicans and health officials accuse the administration of not being transparent enough about the science behind policy changes, including this week's reversal on indoor masking, which the CDC blames largely on the spread of the Delta variant. The president's also asking the Defense Department to consider how and when COVID shots can be added to the list of vaccines already required in the U.S. military. Just hours after arriving at the International Space Station, a Russian space lab has an accident.
A sudden firing of thrusters on Russia's lab module, which docked with the space station this morning, caused the station to move out of its position.
The station went out of orientation by about 45 degrees. The crew was never in any danger.
That's from NASA TV and NASA commentator Rob Navius at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. NASA says the thrusters are no longer firing and the crew aboard is working to recover their orbit position. This mishap means tomorrow's planned launch and test flight of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft is canceled.
Fox's Evan Brown. The launch of that Russian lab had been delayed for more than a decade by a series of technical issues. Just getting word, the U.S. Attorney General has sent a letter to the Texas governor urging him to rescind an executive order that restricts the transportation of migrants in Texas over COVID concerns. America is listening to Fox News.
It's been called the new socialism, the goals of which are universal basic income, free healthcare, free college, and more. Now, Rob Schmidt is on Newsmax pushing back on the new socialism and Joe Biden's proposed trillions in spending. Watch Rob Schmidt tonight and find out the real dangers of socialism. Newsmax is on all major cable systems or for free on streaming systems like Roku, Samsung, LG, Pluto, Zumo, and more. More than 30 million Americans watch Newsmax for news they can trust.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Crane. I'm calling about today's appointment. The tree is scheduled to fall on your RV at 2:14 today.
Any way we can reschedule? We're really enjoying our trip.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's our only opening.
Can it just be a little tree?
Let me check. No, sorry, our file says it's a huge one.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Is it 2:14 p.m. or a.m.?
You know, I'm not sure. Can I put you on a brief hold?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
In Congress for a bill aimed at boosting security at the Capitol.
The Senate approved an emergency funding bill 98-0, providing millions of dollars to upgrade U.S. Capitol security, make up budget shortfalls for the U.S. Capitol Police, and reimburse the National Guard for a deployment after the January 6th riot.
We got what the country needed. We got the improvements for the security of our Capitol, the symbol of our democracy.
Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman, Democrat Patrick Leahy, initially proposed more than $3 billion in spending, an offer rejected by Republicans.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. House passage came soon after. The bill also includes money to help relocate Afghans who helped the U.S. military in Afghanistan, also loosening requirements for special visas that are needed to get them out. President Biden is urging Congress to extend a pandemic ban on evictions, a CDC moratorium that is set to expire on Saturday. The Los Angeles City Council gives final approval to a new law meant to address that area's homeless crisis.
The new law bans sitting, sleeping, lying down, or storing personal property on a street or sidewalk near a driveway, loading dock, building entrance or exit, fire department equipment like a hydrant, daycare, school, library, and other facilities. The ordinance says the city will use a trauma-informed approach. Social workers and other professionals will approach encampments and help get those people into shelters. But the law also says the council will consider each encampment's location before enforcing the law. Some of the latest numbers on the population come from the federal government, which estimates that there are more than 66,000 homeless people in LA County. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The First Lady having a medical procedure today to remove an object that lodged in her foot on a beach in Hawaii last weekend before attending 2 official events. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVF.